Hello, writers and readers. I'm freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow, here with my weekly video about writing, editing, and the writing life. This month, we're talking about Cli-Fi, and this is my list of book recommendations for Cli-Fi. Last week's video was a description what Cli-Fi is, and so it's fiction in which climate change and environmental impact on our world is a large feature of it. And some of them are dystopian, some of them are speculative, some of them are more like family dramas and stuff. And last week's video had writing tips, and this week's video is a list of book recommendations of Cli-Fi books that I have read that I recommend. First up, it's Flight Behavior by Barbara Kingsolver. This was the first Cli-Fi book that I remember reading. It was over a decade ago when it was first released. This is not sci-fi. It is book club fiction or women's fiction, and it's likely literary fiction, but it's not speculative. So I want to make it clear that this is a contemporary novel with a climate change impact theme and plot. It's a story about a young woman who got stuck in her rural Appalachian town after she was trapped by a pregnancy that ended in tragedy, that she ended up marrying and unable to pursue college or leave the area. But there's something that's off in her town. There's something wrong with the butterflies who used to migrate to this area. They're not showing up in the same numbers. Scientists show up and study the monarch butterfly. And when Delrobia, the main character, meets the scientists, she gets a glimpse of the life she could have had if she would have had the courage to leave and spread her own wings. Next book, 2030 by Albert Brooks. I read this one with my old book club pre-pandemic, and it almost ended up in a literal fight, a fight when we were talking about this book. So let's just say opinions were divided. It was satire, but the humor hit better for some readers than others. The climate impact has destroyed California, with the haves moving to luxury ships for retirement and paying for arguably wasteful medical care, keeping people in persistent vegetative states, while the have-nots are homeless and hopeless. The environment is the catalyst, but it's really generational and class war is the main conflict as people are fighting over the scraps of what's left of the world in 2030. Next up, very recent read, Dry by Neal and Jarrod Schusterman. This is a 2018 book that I just read in preparation for this list. My husband and I listened to it on a road trip as he is a sci-fi and dystopian fan, and he and I both enjoyed Neal Schusterman's scythe stories. The tipping point in this book is that the city's water has abruptly stopped in California during yet another drought, and it does not come back on. It's YA focused on the teen protagonists trying to navigate their increasingly dangerous suburban neighborhood once everyone gets real thirsty. Their parents have gone missing while attempting to bring water back from an emergency relief zone, and the teens are all alone. Next title, All the Water in the World by Eiren Caffall. It's the flip side of Dry, dealing with rising ocean waters in New York City, with people using boats to navigate a flooded New York City. Reminded me of Venice, only not quite so romantic because it's terrible, while trying to survive in the parts of the building above the waterline. It starts with the former employees of a museum trying to protect the collections. Survivors hunt the high grounds in Central Park while avoiding human predators and are still relatively safe in the museum until a superstorm forces them to flee the island by boat and into the unknown upstate region. Next up, Blue Sky by T.C. Doyle. This one has two main settings, and it tackles both the drought's impact on California and the rising sea levels impact on Florida. Like 2030, this was also billed as a tragic comedy and satire, and it's funny because it's true type of approach. The one I just finished, Termination Shock by Neal Stephenson. He's a longtime writer of Cli-Fi. I read this one, and it has a whole lot. Multiple perspective and plot lines. Some of them are converging in Texas, with a group attempting to reverse global warming by exploding a bunch of stuff into the sky to block the sun, to mimic the effects that a volcano had years ago, which caused a period of global cooling. But messing with Mother Nature does not have the same impact for everyone, as people at sea level or below cheer, but it can have devastating impact for India's breadbasket as incidents of monsoon damage and food crops skyrockets. And of course, big oil's in the mix. Taking a different angle is Diane Cook's The New Wilderness. Oh, yeah, I read this one pretty recently too. My husband listened to part of it, and he might check it out himself. In this book, Bee's 5-year-old daughter Agnes is slowly wasting away. The smog and pollution of the city, overpopulated, overbuilt metropolis where most of the population lives, is destroying her daughter Agnes's lungs. But what can Bee do? She's never been outside the city. Across the country lies the wilderness state, the last swath of open, unprotected land. Here, forests and desert plains are inhabited solely by wildlife. People are forbidden. Bee, Agnes, and 18 others volunteer to live in the wilderness state as part of a study to see if humans can coexist with nature. Can they be part of the wilderness and not destroy it? so they need to live as nomadic hunter-gatherers. This new community wanders through the grand country, trying to adhere to the strict rules laid down by the rangers, whose job it is to remind them to leave no trace. So they have to move at least every 7 days, if not more frequently. And they can leave nothing behind. They cannot build any structures. As the group lives and survives in the unpredictable and often dangerous land, the members battle for power and control as they betray each other and save each other. The farther they roam, the closer they come to their own animal souls. It's also the story about the daughter who then grows up, because it takes place over years and years. And yes, it was a good one. There are several titles by Paolo Bacigalupi. I read The Windup Girl, which was definitely dystopian, looking at fights over seed banks and a non-Western setting. The same author wrote The Water Knife, which was set in a near-future United States Southwest, devastated by extreme drought and climate collapse, that water has become power. And let's mention Southern Reach trilogy by Jeff Vandermeer. I would qualify that as Cli-Fi. I read Annihilation, which is the first of the trilogy, which follows the 12th expedition to an Amazon jungle in Area X, where the first 11 missions ended up with everyone disappearing. The same author also wrote Hummingbird Salamander, a near-future thriller dystopia, global ecological collapse, with species extinction, corporate malfeasance as the themes. The protagonist, a corporate security consultant, is pulled into a mystery when she receives a taxidermied hummingbird from an extinct species. There's themes of extinction, loss, and ecological anxiety. And the one I'm reading right now, I haven't finished it yet, is The Past is Red by Catherine M. Valente. It's a novella, it's a fast read, unlike Terminator Shock. That was very long. After dry land disappears due to climate change, survivors live on a massive dump in the middle of the ocean, a version of the Pacific garbage patch. It explores what happens when the world's land is gone and nature has turned into debris, focusing on memory, identity, and adaptation. Here's one I read a little bit, like maybe 10 years ago, The Salt Line by Holly Goddard Scott. This is a fun one. I included it because the novel setting is people are living in large cities that are protected by thick salt lines to keep out the deadly, but apparently non-flying ticks that have taken over the outlands. The United States' borders have received, behind the salt lines that are around the cities, a ring of scorched earth that protects the citizens from the deadly diseases carried by the ticks. Those within the zone are safe, if limited, and they're controlled by fear. Very few people have any reason to venture outside of the zone except for adrenaline junkies who pay a fortune for a tour for what's left in between the cities. And we follow an expedition that includes a pop star, a tech giant, and a bunch of other people who go out there for thrills, and then the murders start. Dum, dum, dum. So yeah, that was fun. It ended with a hook and a murder most foul. So Cli-Fi is often sci-fi, but not necessarily. And that's not always the primary genre. It could be incorporated into the setting or the theme. Here are some books for your to-be-read list. If you're interested in writing Cli-Fi, it's possibly some comp titles in there. Or if you just want to explore the subgenre some more. It's wild out there, people. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. I post new content every week talking about writing, editing, and the writing life. This is freelance fiction editor Miranda Darrow wishing you happy writing!